Hello and welcome to another episode of Armored Warfare with Czar Peppers. I've been playing quite a bit of Armored Warfare as late, and I thought I would compile a collection of tips and tricks that I've picked up while playing the game so far. There isn't any particular order or anything, just a few things that I think might help you in your Armored Warfare-ing. On top of that, if you have anything to add, I would love for you to add your tips and tricks in the comments. Maybe I'll even include them in another video like this in the future. Also, if you do come across this video on Reddit, I of course encourage you to continue the conversation on that medium, but it would be awesome if you could comment here on YouTube as well. With the whole wait period between replies on Reddit, it makes it difficult for me to respond to all your questions, which I like to do. So if you have any questions specifically for me or anything else that you'd like me to reply to, it's probably best to comment here on YouTube. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. At the risk of being a bit of a YouTube sellout, these are my top 8 tips for Armored Warfare. Why 8? Because I didn't feel like coming up with 2 more. Number 1. Keep an eye out for good hull down positions on every map and take note of them. Being familiar with all the potential hull down positions around each of the maps can be extremely helpful when you're in a tight situation. Most tanks have better armor on the turret than they do on the hull. If your hull is covered, this makes it more difficult for the enemy to penetrate your armor and do damage. Even if you're in something that doesn't have very good turret armor, like a wheeled tank destroyer, this will make you a much smaller target and a little harder to hit. Number 2. Remember to use your spotting ability when using recon vehicles. I know as well as anybody that in the heat of battle you can sometimes forget to use this ability, but it will be a great help to your team and even yourself because you and your team will do max damage when a target is lit up. Number 3. Know when to enter the cap circle. This is a tip for PvE matches in particular. Always take note of where your teammates are before you enter the cap circle at a PvE match, because in many missions, the minute you enter that circle, it'll usually spawn a ton of enemy vehicles around you. If your team are not ready or positioned correctly when you do this, you can all be wiped out before you even know what happened. Communicate with your team. You don't even need to communicate with them if you're antisocial or something. Just look at the map and take note of where all your teammates are. Make sure they're in good positions, preferably as far away from the cap as possible while still in position to put effective fire on targets. This way, you can get a fast vehicle to trigger the cap and then get the hell out of there and help your team take out all the enemy targets from afar before you advance into the circle. Number 4. When you've gotten an enemy tank down to very low health, what I like to do is either leave him for an IFV or a light tank on my team to finish them off so you can move on to a higher threat, or load a high explosive shell to finish them off. This way you don't waste precious heat or AP rounds on a target that only has 100 or less HP left. Preserving your ammo may not be as important in early tier matches, but in higher tier matches, particularly in hard PvE missions, preserving ammo can be extremely important. HE rounds also have the benefit of doing enough damage to finish them off on low HP without the need to penetrate the vehicle, pretty much guaranteeing a kill regardless of where you hit them on the vehicle. Number 5. This one is kind of related to the last tip. If you're in a PvP mission and part of your team is having a hard time against a large group of enemy targets, one way that you can help is, if you're in something fast, is by going to the enemy cap circle and sitting there for a while. You're not necessarily trying to cap, but rather forcing some of the people who are engaging your friendlies to leave and deal with whoever is in the cap circle, giving your buddies an easier time and less bad guys to deal with. This works best on encounter matches, but I suppose you can do it on normal matches too if an opening in the enemy lines allows it. Number 6. Use the right ammunition. One of the key differences with Armored Warfare compared to tank games based on World War II or Korean War tanks is modern types of armor. This includes composite armor, reactive armor, and spaced armor. You can hear more about this in more detail by watching my Ammo 101 video, which I'll put here. Although I have been wanting to make a new one to make a few corrections and add a bit more detail to it. So hopefully I'll do that sometime in the future. Number 7. Reversing. I know it may sound pretty simple, but if you're good at reversing in the heat of battle, you're going to stand a much better chance than you otherwise would. Tanks are designed to take on other tanks head on, so all your good armor is at the front. If you have more than one enemy around you in different positions, point the front of your tank towards the biggest threat. Also, as pretty much all you tank gamers know, angling yourself can also be your best friend. While you're reversing, know where you need to go in order to get into a safer position. This could be behind a building, behind a tank corpse, or anything that will stop a hunk of metal flying at you at supersonic speeds. Even soft cover like a brick wall is better than nothing because it will slow down the speed of the incoming projectile to a point where it may do less damage to your vehicle. And finally, number 8. Make a plan. If you've got Armored Warfare installed on an SSD, you have a whole lot of time before the match starts. Instead of sitting around twiddling your thumbs, study the map and come up with a plan. Look at the terrain, particular areas that might be good haul-down positions, sniping positions if you're in a wheeled tank destroyer. Find an area of the map that would be a good place to hold the line. Find an area of the map that would be a good place to fall back to in the event that you're about to be overrun on that line. The plan you come up with, if any, will have a substantial effect on what the ultimate result of the whole match will be. Pretend you're a tank commander, smoking a fat cigar, studying the map in the rain, giving your crew a pep talk before battle. If you're feeling really ambitious, talk to your teammates and try and come up with a plan. On the off chance that anyone will actually respond, it's not like they have anything better to do during those 20-30 seconds of timer countdown anyways, other than admire the wonderful tank models. So those are my 8 tips and tricks for Armored Warfare. By the way, for those subscribers who want to know what's coming up or want to hear me complain when an upload has failed after 7 hours of uploading, making me having to start all over again, thus putting a wrench in my schedule, I now have Twitter. I'll put the link in the description, and on that note, don't forget to like or dislike and subscribe. Until next time.